Tongan Australians are desperately waiting for news from home, including Olympian and flag bearer Peter Tofa Tufua, who joins us now from Brisbane. Peter, thank you so much for your time this morning. I can't imagine how hard it is not knowing. Are you coping okay?
Yeah, thank you firstly for having me. I'm doing well. This is tough times are where Tongans do their best. So my focus is more on the Tongan people than as you may know, my father is. I haven't heard from him or any of my family who are in Ha'apai.
So that's it. I know as of last night you hadn't heard from any of those family members. They live on the coast there in Tonga. Has there been any update from anyone else? Do you know how badly hit that particular region was?
It's communication's just gone dark. No one has any real idea. I believe there may be maybe one or two satellite phones on the island at the moment, and they're thinking that the large submarine cable that all the communication happens to Tonga has been severed somewhere because of the volcanic eruption or because of the tsunami from that.
How worried are you right now about your family?
I'm trying not to focus too much on it. I'm in the same position as many Tongans around the world. None of us have heard any news. So my father's has just been appointed as of last week the governor of Ha'apai, and Ha'apai is that group of islands that Hunga is on. And he just so happened to be on the mainland at the time for the opening of Parliament. He went to the airport to fly back to Ha'apai, and they cancelled the flight because of the ash in the sky. But everything is God's will, so I don't focus too much on it.
I mean, there have been no official reports of deaths or injuries, so I'd hope that would give you some hope that they are all at least safe. But when you look at that vision of that earthquake and that ash cloud, I mean, what is your response to that? Because I mean, it's been a very long time since we've seen anything like this.
I've never seen anything like that in my life. It was, when you look at the vision of it from a satellite, just the magnitude and to think that there's a whole country of people right in the center of that, underneath it. I'm worried for the water supply. From all of the ash fallout. I heard that that could be a big issue in the coming days, coming weeks. But it's just so hard for us to gauge what the full magnitude of the fallout was. But when you look at it, it doesn't look too good.
Well, I know the Australian Defence is getting ready to throw whatever is needed in regards to support. You've started a GoFundMe page too. I know it's so far raised more than $100,000. They're going to need every cent, aren't they, the Tongans, to rebuild after this?
Yeah, absolutely. There's two aspects to it. There's the lives and the injury, and then there's also the what sort of damage have we as a country sustained. So just judging by the cyclones that come through, judging by the footage that we saw of the tsunami surge starting to come in, because we only saw footage of it starting to come in, then the communication went out. It looks like it's going to be a very expensive rebuild, and more importantly, hopefully no life has been lost.
Hopefully. And look, I really hope you hear from your family today and that everyone is safe. We're thinking of you all. Thanks for joining us this morning. Carl.
Tough spot, isn't it? For more on the situation in the Pacific, let's bring in Associate Professor Hannah Power from the University of Newcastle. Associate Professor, thank you for your time. The pictures we are seeing from Tonga are truly terrible, aren't they? What should we expect from here, do you think?
So the initial tsunami that we've seen has now passed, and what we would expect from now is that we really just need to keep an eye on what's happening with this volcano, because eruptions like this don't often happen as one-off. They often come in clusters, and so we would expect to see that we might get some future eruptions. They might be of the same size, and so we need to keep a really careful eye on what's happening there in terms of what that volcano is doing.
There's a whole corridor there, isn't there, of volcanic activity. Is there anything to suggest any others are looking a little bit more active?
I haven't seen anything to date that suggests that others on that corridor are active, but around the rim of the Pacific, we see all this plate tectonic activity where the Earth's crust meets and has all these breaks in it. And that's where we get 90% of the world's earthquakes around the Rim of Fire. And it's where we see lots of volcanic activity. So it's a very active zone, and it's something that we always need to be keeping a careful eye on.
Look, the ramifications are going to be, over the next few days, quite severe, you'd have to think. Are you surprised there wasn't more damage, at least initially?
It's really hard to say because we've really only seen that initial footage, as was discussed previously. And so a full assessment of everything that's happened in Tonga is going to need to be made. And there's the potential for more damage. You know, if we have more volcanic eruptions and more tsunami, there'll be more damage, you know, and all of this stuff takes a really long time to recover from. You know, it's very clear from that footage that we've seen this morning that the seawall fronting the islands has been damaged, and that roads have been pulled up, buildings have been destroyed. You know, these are people's homes and people's livelihoods, and we really need to do everything we can to support the Tongan people in this time.
100%, such beautiful people. Our hearts bleed for everyone there, and so many of them have family here in Australia. Getting them this help won't be easy either, will it, with this ash cloud now threatening, you know, to disrupt flight travel as well. That obviously has an effect on aid flights coming in from elsewhere.
Yeah, so at the moment, I believe the ash cloud is about 20 kilometres high, and that really prohibits any flights into or out of the area. I know New Zealand is planning to send a Defence Force aircraft tomorrow if it's safe to fly, but really at this point in time, it's a waiting game to wait until that ash cloud starts to settle so that we can safely try to get some aid and do some reconnaissance to actually see what's happened there.
Yeah, look, approach by the sea might be the way. Anyway, thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate it. Ali.
The true extent of the damage to Tonga remains unclear after a volcano erupted, triggering a tsunami in the Pacific.
It's frightening, wasn't it? Nearby Fiji is also feeling the effects, with some villages in the outer lying areas underwater and thick ash causing flight chaos now. For more, we're joined by sisters Morgan and Sienna Wyatt, who are on the Coral Coast in Fiji. Good morning, ladies. Nice to see you this morning. Thankfully, you're safe. What is the feeling like there at the moment?
Yeah, everybody's pretty calm. In true Fijian style, they never really show if they're fearful or anything like that. So we're pretty calm over here. We did have the tsunami warning, and the ocean was pretty much banned yesterday from us doing any activities in there. But it's all pretty calm here at the moment. So yeah, we're not too concerned where we are, luckily.
So can you explain to us sort of what happened the moment that the volcano erupted? Could you hear it?
Yeah, funny thing, we were actually in the middle of a massage treatment, so it was a bit of a strange experience. We quite honestly thought it was some loud music or an earthquake. It was that rumbling sound of thunder almost. The windows were shaking, the doors were shaking. Even the ladies who were giving us our massage were checking out the window to see what was happening. But all in all, it was a bit of a strange experience. It lasted about 20 to 30 minutes, actually. So even when we were back in our room, our windows were shaking and we could hear that deep rumbling going on.
It's amazing. It's a fair distance, isn't it, to Tonga? What is it, about 800 k?
Yeah.
So I mean, to see and to hear the effects of it that far away. Also, I mean, the satellite imagery. It's unbelievable, the power of this thing. And also, you see the ash cloud, which is now causing some dramas. Planes and ash clouds just do not mix. What are you hearing about flights and delays?
We haven't heard anything specifically about our flight. Some flights got cancelled yesterday for some people, but we're staying hopeful that we'll be able to get home, but I guess we'll find out today.
I guess there are worse places to be stuck, aren't there, if you get stuck there for an extra couple of days?
Yeah, true. We wouldn't mind staying a few more days, but also keen to get home.
All right.
Of course.
Thank you for being with us. We really appreciate it. Good on you. Travel safe.